Ms Lauder.
Thank you. I move that this bill be agreed to in principle.
Question is that the bill be agreed to in principle. Ms Lauder.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Speaker. I present the Domestic Animals Dangerous Dogs Amendment Bill 2018. And this is the second tranche in a series of legislative changes designed to address the growing issues of dangerous dogs and responsible dog ownership. And it's a continuing attempt by the Canberra Liberals to address this crisis in dog management. We've been consulting widely, Madam Assistant Speaker. We've been using the government's own reports, which haven't been implemented as yet by the government. The Maxwell Review that the government received in April 2018 and released over 5 months later had 33 recommendations. And in this tranche of legislation being presented today, we're delivering on 2 of the specific Maxwell Review recommendations. That includes that recommendation 11.3, fees reduced for training. The government's response to this was that it's noted. And recommendation 28 was to remove barriers to relinquish dogs, for example, costs. And the government's response to this recommendation was to say it agrees. The bill I'm presenting today encourages responsible dog ownership, responsible management of dogs and good behaviour of dog owners and dogs. It does 3 things. The 2 I've mentioned, so we're encouraging dog owners to ensure that their dogs are well trained. And when you go to dog training, Madam Assistant Speaker, you're often told that it's more a matter of training the owners than training the dogs. And it's important that dog owners understand the principles of responsible dog ownership, about the ways to allow your dogs to approach other dogs and other people. So some of the things we're approaching in the legislation today is about training to encourage responsible dog ownership. And what's in the bill today is that no dog registration fee will be payable if the owner has successfully completed approved dog training with the dog. That means that each dog must be trained, not just the owner with one dog. If they get a second dog, that should also be trained. So it's a carrot approach, Madam Assistant Speaker. We'll also encourage people to deal with unwanted dogs. Sometimes people get a dog and it's not quite the temperament that they were looking for, or it doesn't fit into their family lifestyle. And for some families, that you have to pay a fee to relinquish that dog could be a barrier. And in those instances, people might keep the dog in their backyard, unwanted, unloved, untrained, and potentially that dog could become a dangerous dog through lack of attention and lack of training. So by encouraging people to relinquish those dogs without a fee payable, especially if those dogs are dangerous or have the temperament to be dangerous, we're discouraging families and people from keeping those dogs, removing the barriers. At the other end of the spectrum, Madam Assistant Speaker, this bill proposes to double the fee for dangerous dog licences. Under the current legislation, people can keep dogs which are deemed to be dangerous under certain conditions. We want to make sure that people consider that very, very carefully, and this is an example of a stick approach as opposed to the carrot approach. By doubling the fee to keep or retain a dangerous dog, this may be a deterrent for some owners to taking that dog back to their house, back into the community, and potentially being a danger to other members of the community. Last year, there were 485 reports of dog attacks, an increase of 25% from the previous year. And over the past 5 years, we've seen, on average, a 30% increase year on year of reported dog attacks. This is an increase in Canberra residents being injured by dogs, frightened and terrorised by dogs. It also means that other dogs are attacked, are maimed or killed by dogs. And not only dogs, it's cats and other domestic pets which can also be terrorised, injured or killed by roaming dogs. If you look, for example, at the comparison in two sets of figures, that we've had a 30% increase year on year of over 5 years, or 422% increase from 5 years ago. Comparatively, over 5 years, we've seen a slight decrease in the number of fines for dog offences in public places. So we're seeing a crisis on one hand and a lack of response on the other. So it would appear that more needs to be done to keep Canberrans safe. This is a basic duty of government, and this is one of the things that this bill is trying to address today.